Can you hear me? Am I coming out of the speaker? I am, right? Okay, good. Thanks everybody for coming. My name is Marcus Miller, I'm the director here at the Gordon Snellgrove Gallery. Very happy to be introducing Zoë Schneider here as part of our MFA Talk series. And I want to give thanks to our Aboriginal brothers and sisters for sharing their Treaty 6 territory, which is also homeland to the Métis people. Zoë has a very impressive CV here. I was checking you all out here. And so she's, of course, currently completing her Master's of Fine Arts here. She is currently employed. You're currently employed by OSAC, yeah? The Organization of Saskatchewan Arts Councils, where she's been working since 2012. And through that organization, she's curated a number of shows and written for catalog essays there. The most recent show that she curated was here at the Saskatchewan Craft Council's Affinity Gallery, Scuttlephilly. Scuttlephilly. That's hard.
Scuttlephilly.
And what does it mean?
It's the collection of patches or the collection of little badges.
Right, so that was a very cool show. And that didn't tour.
It is touring.
It is touring.
Yeah, it's in Manitoba touring right now.
So fantastic. And I remember being at the panel that Zoë organized for that, and that was terrific. She lists several brochure essays, heavy metal, high fiber content. I noticed a very interesting show that you are currently in, or is that true? Fermenting Feminisms.
Yes.
And you're in a book there that's part of that touring show?
Yes, I toured video and a book for that.
Right, so that's curated by Lauren Fournier, who is from Regina. And that show is going all around the world. It was in Toronto, Kansas City, Copenhagen, Berlin. My gosh, fantastic. So there's all kinds of shows that Zoë has been in, and she's doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm going to shut up now and give you Zoë Schneider.
Cool. Thank you. Just going to bring this up here. So I like to kind of stand and look at people when I'm talking. So. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming today. I know lunch hours are kind of intense because we're running between classes and jobs and all that kind of stuff, so I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and hear me talk about my work, my practice. So what I wanted to do today is kind of run you through what I've been doing since my undergrad, which was at the Alberta College of Art and Design. It was hugely influential on the kind of work that I make, specifically my craft kind of basis from where I came from. So I thought I'd start by showing this work. So this one is kind of going to give you an idea of where I kind of came from. So this is a finger crocheted work that's 15 feet in diameter. When I was making this work, I was thinking about Marshall McLuhan's ideas of how our technologies affect the way we think and interact with other people. And I was trying to apply that to this kind of technique, so this making. And the thing about crochet is like the architecture of the knot relies on what comes before it and what comes before it from a previous generation, so behind it and underneath it. And it's also shaped by what comes after it. And I thought that that was really interesting and tied very much with feminine craft and how we learn these craft technologies, generally through our grandmothers, our mothers, other women in our community. So that's kind of what I was looking at in my undergrad. I was applying theory to craft and trying to understand how craft could be applied to the way that we think and the cultures that we create. Okay. So then, just after I've completed my undergrad, I made this work, and this was like a new direction for me. I started to work with ideas of the paranormal. And this showed in an exhibition in the Estevan Art Gallery Museum. It's called Tumbleboo, and what I did was kind of made little femo ghosts that were clinging to the arms of a tumblebee and kind of lit it from underneath and created this sort of uncanny object. When I was making this, I was thinking about how our ideas, how our ghosts, people, experiences kind of follow us through life. I had moved from Calgary to Regina, and I've moved like all over sort of Alberta and Saskatchewan, so I was kind of thinking about these things that stay with you, these things that cling to you, that just won't let go. And I kind of had this come to me in like a vision when I was driving on the highway of just this like tumbling thing with these little like ghosts clinging to the branches. So there's another example of it kind of close up. Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of a departure for me because it wasn't so based on an original concept or idea. This was very much, it appeared to me, and then I thought, I need to make this, and then I kind of found ideas for it as I was moving through it and making it work, so, yeah. I then started making work about lake monsters, sea creatures, that kind of thing. So continuing the idea of the paranormal, but thinking about paranormal in a way that reflects our society, what we're afraid of, what ideas we're afraid of. I see the paranormal as kind of a way to examine what underlying fears we have. So we have these monsters, but they represent so much more. And that's why I was including a lot of mirror in this work. So these are mirrored pieces, and it's also reflected back here. A lot of this is made with aquarium clings, so like the backgrounds of aquariums. And then I also kind of worked with a lot of plexiglass mirror, so making that water effect on the side there by cutting plexiglass and layering it up. Also very much about reflection. This is another example of that series.
These are small things?
They're very small tabletop sculptures, yeah. And each one of these is named after a specific lake monster. This one in particular, though, is referencing an X-Files episode which references the book Moby Dick. So it's called Queequeg, which is a character in Moby Dick, but also the name of the dog in the specific X-Files episode. So I think there's like multiple kind of references going on there with pop culture and the paranormal. And I think X-Files does a wonderful job of exploring in depth what we think about that. So from there, I did this work. It's called Mound. It was part of Pop-Up Downtown in Regina. It's a large, it's supposed to, okay, so you know when you're in a downtown of a winter city, so like Saskatoon, Winnipeg, something like that, we kind of pile all the snow up at the center of walk areas, and it becomes these like mountains that get really dirty, and there's garbage, and someone tries to climb on them when they're drunk, so it's like sort of caved in on one side, and then they start to melt, and then it freezes, and it just forms these giant hindrances from actually walking through space, but they're very much a part of our like temporary world every winter, and we become so used to them, they're just always there, these giant mountainous things. So what I wanted to do for this show, because Pop-Up Downtown is all about giving underused walking space to artists, I wanted to take something that we walk past, we sidestep, and kind of ignore and gild it, or in this case I chromed it, and put it into an actual exhibiting space, giving it time and attention and light. So that was up for 3 months, and the material exploration in this was very influential for what I kind of started to explore in my graduate program. Then I made this character. So this is Numina, continuing with the paranormal theme. She's an alien. Specifically, she's the big green woman, so she's the goddess to the little green men. So this is the first time I started to play with fat in my work and representation of myself as a fat woman. This was like incredibly off for me because I don't put myself physically in my work. I don't like to show myself very often. And this is the first time I dealt with something so like loaded and kind of taboo as fatness in work. And this also kind of became a touchstone or an ignition for other work that I would make further down the line. So this is the first sort of series that I started to make in my undergrad here my master's here at the University of Saskatchewan. And this is part of a series called the Adipose series. What I was trying to do with this work was give form to the feeling of growth or getting fat, and how it can be an alienating, or it can feel like an alien experience. You don't feel right in your body. It's slow, but it's very visible to yourself and to the people around you. And so what I did was take denim and made little sort of denim sculptures and sliced little holes in them and then filled it with this expanding foam. And the foam would kind of burst through and build these sort of growths, like mycelium-style growths on the outside of the denim sculptures. And so I have this is a video, and I'm not sure how to get it to play on here. Let's see, no. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, it's a short, yeah, it's okay. It's a short video of the work, kind of showing how the growth process happens. And so then I turned this into video, and that's what's actually touring with the Fermenting Feminism exhibition. So they're showing in Berlin this summer, as well as Toronto and Kansas City. And it should be showing in Copenhagen, but I'm not sure what the details of that are right now. But yeah, so this whole series was very much based on my ideas around kind of breaking the boundary of accepted femininity and femme-identity in our culture. And I think denim is very emblematic of cool and sexy, and we kind of aspire to be like cool and sexy and wear the hot denim. But as a fat woman, it's always been really difficult until they invented like spandex denim, which kind of changed the game. But it was hard to fit into these really cool jeans. So I'm thinking of like Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger when I was like in my teenage and early 20s. It was always so difficult to find jeans that would actually fit and look good. And so I always felt like I was kind of just a little bit of a monster and not able to kind of be the person that I wanted to be stylistically. So yeah, this is kind of what this is about. It's about breaking through those bounds and showing that feeling where it's kind of, it's uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable for me, but it also feels good because you're breaking through something. You're not bound up tight. You're kind of just letting it open. You're opening a vent, you're venting it kind of. Yeah, so that's what this was about. I then went on to make an installation called Moon Pools. So I wanted to keep thinking about fatness and